Hello everyone, Randall Tausig, Blue Core Leadership. Welcome to another leadership lesson from the Cockpit. And today, I'm excited. We have a very special guest in the Cockpit. Mali Phonpadith is the CEO and founder of the SOAR Community Network. And we talked about the importance of intuition and compassionate leadership in business as well as in the Cockpit. I look forward to you joining us in the conversation. Talk to you soon. All right, we're sitting here in the hangar in the Cockpit. It's not too late for you to say no.
Nope, I am so excited, pumped up, I'm ready to go.
I'm pumped up that you're in the Cockpit. I think back, we did this almost 10 years ago. Do you remember it?
I remember.
You have made a big impact in my life. We connected when I was really trying to figure out what I was going to do next.
I remember.
And so you were the catalyst behind enabling me to to have the courage to start a business and to go down this road and to get in touch with who I was and what I wanted, and it has evolved over the years, but that's why this is very special to me as well.
Thank you, Randy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. When you meet certain people, there's just a connection, an immediate connection. I just felt your warmth, and then you came to one of my retreats, and that was really where we did a lot of envisioning for your life, your future, if you wanted to pursue entrepreneurship or not, what motivated and inspired you to share that you came from a family of entrepreneurship. And I said, but it's in your blood.
You did.
And then you talked about this passion for flying. And I said, well, life is about integrating all the things that make you whole. And that was really the retreat. And I just learned so much about you. And I was like, I knew that my first gut intuition, this guy was special, and you really are.
And that's in a way a great segue, because we're going to be talking about intuition today. I wanted to have a conversation before the loud engine went on, and we have to have our headsets on.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, well, buckle up and get ready for a great journey today.
Let's do it. So excited.
All right.
So we are now about 4,500 feet. We're on our way to Cumberland, Maryland, and we're going to have a conversation. So I do really want to dive right into it. I want to ask you, what originally attracted you to this concept of compassionate leadership? Where did that come from?
Well, I didn't come up with this concept. The concept came to me in terms of lived experiences. So I'm a child refugee of war. I was a child refugee of war. And I came here from Laos with my family when I was very young. And I remember thinking, how on earth do these people that we've never met in the refugee camps, friends and family members of my parents, relatives of theirs, who really helped us even escape the country in the first place. And then when we got to the refugee camp, a small church in Maryland sponsored our family with one tie-breaking vote from this woman. I want to give her so much credit. She became my godmother. Her name was Jean McCarty. And that was imprinted in my heart, Randy. And what it made me think about was, what creates empathetic, compassionate people? We all have empathy, the ability to feel what others might be going through, but not everybody takes action on it, which means compassionate leadership. You can't have compassionate leadership without taking action. And that was imprinted in my heart at 4.5 years old. So throughout my whole life, learning through what it took to get me to this place now as being a business owner and entrepreneur, it's really that concept of what it takes to develop more Jean McCartys in the world so that other people can benefit from who you get to be in the world as an empathetic, compassionate, but action-driven, which is very important, right?
Yeah.
You can make people feel good.
Not passive. You're not passive.
Not passive.
Passive's not even in the vocabulary here, right?
Yeah, so that's what was the inspiration behind why I built my company on the foundation of compassionate leadership.
That makes so much sense, and you really, I noticed you dove right into it. I also have heard you say that compassionate leadership starts with self-compassion. What's that all about?
When you think about how actions and behaviors, where they come about, behaviors come from needs, right? If needs are met, emotional needs as well as the physical Maslow's needs, you show up a certain way in the world. When needs are met or unmet, you also show up behaviorally in the world. But those needs come from behavioral drivers, right? The drivers dictate how we make decisions, how we ideate, how we solve conflicts, how we communicate. And when you recognize that you're not perfect, we all know that intuitively, right? But at the same time, when science dictates that, when our relationships remind us that we are flawed, that we are not perfect, that we sometimes miss things, that's really where the self-compassion comes in. And in our work, in the work of human development, leadership development, we teach a lot of self-compassion because if you are managing others, leading others, if you don't recognize how to identify your own shortcomings, if you will, or caution areas, how are you going to identify that in others, but also show them compassion?
Right.
Right? If you can't do that for yourself, how can you do that for others?
I find that fascinating because I can say for myself very candidly, sometimes that's lacking in giving myself self-compassion. I'll be harder on myself, and I think a lot of people are like this, than they will be on other people. But that's not right, and that also is disruptive. It's as disruptive, or if not more disruptive, than having that behavior towards someone else. You're doing it to yourself, and you're doing it consistently, and somehow it's okay. But how does intuition interplay in all this?
I think as human beings, we all came with a mechanism. They often say that the gut is kind of like the second brain, And sometimes your gut, your intuition, the feelings that you have, and the more self-aware you become, plus the self-compassion, right, where you can identify those feelings inside your body, you can also identify even where stress shows up in your body. I mean, when we're born into the world, we already started surviving. We knew how to draw a breath, There's so much that happened at a young age. And then you come to a country where you don't understand the rules. Your parents don't speak the language. You have to parent your parent, teach them things. So the world starts to shape what you need to do, who you need to be to survive. And so you don't necessarily allow yourself to really test and trust your intuition because you got to go get stuff done.
Yeah, and I think I agree with this sense that we probably all do have intuition.
Everything else in your life is telling you to be pragmatic, to be logical. And so sometimes we choose that because it seems to make sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I find myself sometimes having to almost convince myself, well, this is logical, this makes sense. And sometimes that feels forced, but it's truth when I say it, but it's actually anti-intuition. And that's where I think it's difficult to trust intuition.
Please join us next month as we continue the conversation in the cockpit around compassionate leadership with Mali Phonpadith. We'll see you soon.